Okay, hi, Hansel and Christoph. First of all, I want to thank you, both of you, and welcome you to this Zoom conversation. For us, a Zoom conversation is a very visual way to stay connected with our artists. We've done it several times. It's the fourth conversation at the moment. And I think in this extraordinary period, it's even more important than before that we share these conversations also with the audience virtually. Hansel and Christoph, I invite you to imagine you are sitting together in front of each other on a table, having a nice dinner, and to let you talk about your work, your passion, the theme of the work which put you together, and the work that you both have created. Maybe there's an overlap, maybe there's a mismatch. Let's find out. Can we define the connection? Or is it hard to define where we put you together? Do you have interesting questions for each other? Maybe it's clear to you after the conversation, but let's start with the conversation. And I don't know, Christoph, maybe you have a first question for Hansel?
Yeah, I have a first question, but first thank you, Karin, for inviting us and make that the table for us, prepared the table for us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, hello, Hansel.
Hi.
So my first question would be, maybe you could explain the title of that group of works you did. So I was reading your statement and tried to figure it out, but it didn't work that well. So maybe you can explain it to me a bit.
So basically, this project, I call it Fagatopia. Basically, it's kind of a mixed word of faggot and utopia. So the concept is to, because this project is to, I'm kind of trying to build my own utopian system of a queer power system. And I took all the visual cues of all the military ranking system and blend all the visual part that I like to a very queer, bit erotic context. So for me, it's kind of very freeing and very gay and very liberating project. And at the same time, it's very it's very apologetic. So that's why, and it's very kind of it's for the queer people, and I would love queer people to wear them, and it's very free. It's very free in this sense. So I love the idea of it's like let's reclaim the world and let's make it a positive and a proud thing to call ourselves. So that's why the title of the project came up. And yeah, basically. And I like, of course, I like this a little bit, a comfortable feeling when you read the title and you're afraid to say it. I love it. So like one of my first question is, let me just open my question document. The first question is, what made you focus on working a project in God mode? Like, where did your interest begin for this project?
For the trace or the?
For the modes.
The ingot.
Yeah, the ingot.
Yeah, so the first thing was, so it's quite some years ago. The first one was made out of a silver ingot, and I really there's a lot of deforming in that first piece, and a lot of hammering, and one thing was that I at that time didn't do that much. It was a lot of computer work in that time, and a lot for other people, and it was kind of I want to use a hammer. That was one
nice.
important thing. And then it was about deform kind of a more massive part of or massive piece of metal, and not working with a sheet metal. And then these ingots are kind of you can buy it at the bank, and it's just material. It's just the 999 silver piece, and then I was looking also at the companies that are selling silver sheets, and they have on the websites kind of a special area for investment products. Are kind of made small blocks or pyramiden made from gold, and kind of really silly things. And I was thinking about what's the point about doing such things in such a valuable material. And then the question about is what is the material or the main material for goldsmith, silversmith. It's back in the days it was just a really precious metal, and for me it's just the material. For other people, they invest money to have that material, but I use it to make something out of it. And then the thinking about what's the value of the material, and what's the value of my work if I work directly with these pieces that are also it's all stock exchange market stuff in a way, and on the other hand it's just a physical material where I can make something out of it. So that's maybe the beginning. And then the first piece was really a lot of hammering, and then I started, and then there are other pieces which are only done with a press, as it's only pressed with specially made tools for pressing, and then more work went into making the tools. And the process itself for the piece was not so big. It was more work in the tool making, and then there are also Karin, you have the copper ones also in the gallery, so there are two made out of copper, so 1 kilo copper. And now the pieces in the exhibition are from tin or pewter, and that's more you also buy them as ingots in different shapes, but it's more an industrial product. It's the ingots have a form which is made for used in huge casting machines and stuff like that. So it's more industrial shape of the ingots.
It's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a negative shape, right? It's supposed to be because it's kind of the mold for making a bar of silver or a metal bar. That's supposed to be the ingot.
The pieces are the ingots.
Okay.
I deformed the ingots. So with that pieces now, it's just one polished steel thing, which is pressed in the ingot, and through that it's becoming a vessel, or so
because
it's making a room, changing the shape of the ingot in a way that it can hold something, or you can put something in, or your iPhone or whatever.
Because I see some pieces, it's almost like testing the limit of the material, like expanding it into a very dramatic shape of bow or like a vessel on one side.
Yeah, that's the first piece. That's that silver, the polished silver piece. There's quite of the, that's, I think you can do it a bit bigger, but not much, because it's very thin already, and kind of just changing the shape and using only the material that's coming from that ingot and making a big room.
Nice.
Christoph, I have a first question. In which interior do you see your work? Or is there a specific interior which you can imagine fitting your work?
No, there's no special. I think it's about the people that are kind of having that around, and so yeah, you can imagine it in a very modern design styly area, but I also can imagine that someone has kind of a relationship with that, and it's a student flat, you know. Yeah. That's I think it's more about what people making a relationship with the piece, and it's not that it has to be on the shelf from this or that designer.
So it's still important for you that the buyer understands where the work is about. So the wearer is not really a wearer, it's the buyer in this case, but that he has, like you say, a relationship, that he understands the work, that he feels where it's all about.
Yeah, but I'm also, you know, if he sees something different in it, that's also fine to me. You know, it's not that I'm saying it is this and you have
no,
like that. It's not so strong, I would say. Oh. You have a cat, Hansel.
Yes. I'm right now in Amsterdam at my friend's house, and that's our cat.
Hello.
It's her world. We're just living in it.
Yeah.
I have another small question. Is there a specific connection between your work and the time where we are living in right now?
In my work?
Yes.
Yeah. It's I think today, or the world we're living in, there's quite a lot of things, and people don't think about how they are made, where they come from. You go to a shop, buy something, and it's kind of a perfect product. If you think about a mobile phone, it's just all the surfaces are perfect. There's no, you don't see anything about how it's made, where it comes from. It's just a box you buy, and then you have a product with perfect finish, with perfect surfaces, and it's all clean, and yeah, it's but it's still made from material that is coming from the ground, from the industry that is making material out of it that is used in other machines, and at the end someone has a product in the hands that is perfect, but nobody thinks about how it's made, or also maybe why it's made. You know, that's with a lot of products. I think that's quite a question why they are made. You know, there are a lot of products that are just made to sell it. It's not about to have a good product that can help somebody with something. It's just to sell it, and there's no. It's made for selling, and then it has a quite short life cycle. It's sold, and people are buying it because of, I don't know, they want to buy something, not because they have a really need for that piece. And yeah, that's maybe more with the trays I made, because they're kind of, on the first look they have a very industrial shape. You know, that's something you can make with a big press in one go, and you can make thousands of it. And there I kind of, I only made the molds to press a quarter of it, and then put 4 quarters together. And with the one point in the idea was to have the option to make different sizes. You know, I have one corner, and then I can cut something away and make also the connections differently. But you see, in parts of it, you see that they're kind of it's not pressed in one piece, and you see the marks from the pressing, and there are folds that are not perfect, and they're still there. So you get an idea of how that is made, and that there is kind of, it's not the industrial process where all of that is going out in another are sold from a different price because there is a mark somewhere. They're not sorted out. You know, you get an idea of how the piece is made, but you have to take a second look. On the first look, it looks like a industrial product. But it's kind of irritating. The welding lines and that stuff is kind of, something is not right with that piece. And if you take a closer look, you also find kind of interesting details that are still there. Then at the end making a difference to the industrial product.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the charm that why the artist or the craftsmanship behind the pieces is important, because it gives the pieces more character. It makes it unique instead of a waterline process of going through a factory. Also, it's like, I think nowadays in the digital industry, it's the new equipment, like a new iPhone, it's more about hiding what's inside. It's basically, we want to present you like kind of a magic black box, and what's inside is hidden, and it's deliberately hidden. You don't see what's inside. And they want to give you this, I think it's kind of a detached feeling of, when you look at the phone, you don't see there's like thousands and billions of different components inside. And I think it's totally different approach to how a piece is made and what its purpose is. Yeah.
Is there a specific connection between your work and the time where we're living in right now, Hansel?
For my work?
Yeah, it's the same question that I asked to Christoph. but I had the idea that you give me already part of the answer, but maybe you can tell us something more about it, how you see this.
I mean, for me, I think this series of my pieces, I don't really think about what's the connection with the world we're living, as in, for example, if it's like capitalism or commercialism, this kind of association. For me, it's just when I'm making the pieces, it's really just I'm making something that I find fascinating, and in the end, I'm making pieces that I think I would like to wear. It's very like intriguing for me. So for me, I have this rule that when I'm making pieces, I'm always making pieces that I want to have or I want to wear. So that I think that's the basic rule, so that I'm not creating something just for the sake of it. And yeah, so it has to be cool. It has to be attractive for myself to begin with, of course. So yeah, and as for the technique wise, for me, it's actually for me. I actually do like the idea of kind of trick people, and so when people see my pieces at the first time, they don't really know how I made it, and I like this mystery of it. Also, that's why I also like to use different technique that's sometimes more industrialized, not traditional silversmith, goldsmith techniques. And I like to use them like the technique we already have, but in a different context, like move them to a smaller scale, to a piece of jewelry or earring. Yeah, so I like the idea of when you see my pieces, you're like very intrigued, like okay, how did you make this? And like what's the material of it, and like yeah, so that's one of the reasons that motivates me to do different experiments and try new technique and stuff. Yeah.
Can you tell me, there are pearls used in almost every piece. Is there a specific reason for that?
I think yes and no. Like for me, pearl always represents something very, very soft and very feminine energy, and I like the idea of that. And I like the idea of I'm putting pearl with such rigid lines. There's only straight line in the collection, and like Christoph, this time I also kind of give myself a rule that I'm only using basically tubes to create shapes, and it's very, in a way, I have always been scary to have straight lines in my work, because it's very I think it's very violent in a way. It reminded me of a lot of like contemporary architecture that's very, it's like made by male architect, and it's very sharp, strong line, and it's very brutal in a way. So I always kind of want to detach from that, and I love curly lines and the curves. I think it gives, so it's like kind of immediately delete or eliminated all the sharp edges, and the beginning is very different. So this time with all all my elements were begin with straight lines. So of course I love all the aesthetics of, I think that's also one of the reasons why for the military, for the power system, there are so many straight line visual, and they are stacking together. It's very much related to the whole culture itself, and it's a demonstration of power. So it's very, that's why there are or bars, lines, and I love the idea of kind of adapting this power. Simply begin with, I'm using the straight lines now, and so yeah, I had this rule, and then I start to play with them, and the repetition of it, and the simple joy of stacking them together, and from kind of a flat shape, you became creating dimensions on top of it. So yeah, those were the thing that motivates me to work this time. Yeah, sorry, I totally forgot your question. Like, like.
Why that there are? Is there a specific reason that you used pearls?
Yes, and so also pearl is on top of that gives me this queer energy that it's very because my pieces I like like no matter if you're a boy or a girl or non-binary, you can whoever likes to wear it can wear it. So I think pearl gives you this bridge, and of course, who doesn't love pearls? So this time I begin with this kind of gray color pearls, and I deliberately matching the metal color to match this pearl. So if you glance it, you I think I don't know for normal people, but like it's hard to tell is this real pearl or like why it's the same color. And but I like the idea of it. So when you see the pieces, it's like they basically kind of have similar surface. This silvery powder coating surface on top of the brass is the same texture and color with the pearl. So this kind of again go back to kind of trickery of different material with this finishing, and because what you see on the surface is what you see, you don't see what's inside. And I like the philosophy of that. For me, it's kind of the aesthetic is the final layer. The final layer become the aesthetic because you don't see what's inside. So yeah, so that's why I did this time. Yeah, and also for me, a lot of times pearl becomes it's for me lost its meaning. Like I put a lot of pearl on the back just because I was like structure wise this makes sense. The pearl become just a dot, and it gives me sometimes it's on the back of the brooch because it gives me support for my brooch, and because all the brooches this time they only have like a brooch pin backs, and the height of the pin and became the same height of the pearl. So when you wear it, it sits flat. So it became part of the structure support. It's kind of the leg of the table. So yeah, it's very fun for me this way. And yeah, sometimes it's not even on the front. So it's for me it's very nice. And when a piece became like, of course, a piece supposed to be look at whatever size. It has to look cute, not only from the front. Yeah.
That's true.
The piercing rings you're using there, are they ready-made or are you making them for?
No, yeah, they are all ready-made surgical piercing. So yeah, I used a lot of them because for me, I think they are just, again, for me, I treat the piercing like I treat any kind of stone or diamonds. They are the setting elements. They are the yeah, for me, piercing a piece is the same meaning with stoning a piece, and just also like with like very naturally, it's kind of like there is already a certain context with diamonds, and there is already a certain context with like body piercing. So it's like it already has its own meaning behind it. So it's very easy to make people think different things based on where it appeared. So yeah, so for me it's very that's why it's one of my favorite thing, because it has such a big variety of, as well, the piercing. So it's like the size, I can easily switching the size and manipulate the size of it. And at the same time, it has certain shapes. It only have like maybe 2-3 different shape of piercing, like the classical kind. So at the same time, it's very like the idea of what a piercing looks like is kind of in everybody's mind. Everybody get it immediately. So it's also universal in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, you're using kind of elements from 2 worlds but in both worlds they're kind of where it's on the body or in the body or through the body, or you're taking the elements from the military in a and putting that in another shape or in a three-dimensional shape, or at least at some of the pieces, the piercings are kind of entering that system in a kind of unordered way. So they go the piercings are not ordered like the military signs, but they're kind of entering it, and or maybe destroying it. I don't know. Is it kind of a wish? Or
that's very interesting. I didn't think it's kind of destroying it. For me, it's like sometimes it's also the fun part of the collection, because when I make the metal part, I have like a little trials in between that like put piercing through it and to see how it might look like. But a lot of time when I finish all the metal part, and then how I pierce through the how I put piercing on top of it kind of shifts a lot. And because it's basically the piercing can all detached from the pieces, the pieces we have right now. So it's like it doesn't have to be there. It's like the piece can still won't fall apart because the piercing disappeared. So yeah, so for me it's very like how to pierce, how to put them there interestingly. And I like that for some of the piercing this time, the piercing itself became like a chain, because it's already they were already connected with each other. It's kind of a piercing chain, and it became its own kind of little jewelry pieces. And instead of individual piercing, some pieces it became like two little chain of piercing attached from the frames. So yeah, it gives me quite joy. And of course, sometimes I have no idea, like I keep changing from them back. I'm like, let's do this. Oh, it's not okay, let's change. And I keep like adjusting them. Yeah. Yeah, but in the end, I kind of trying to achieve this kind of harmony. Of course, like visually, they have to look satisfying in a way. That yeah, and of course, I trying to do it. I don't want to just lazily let's just put it here, and I want to try to have a system that the kind of coexisting. And yeah.
Yeah, there's also quite a difference in the surfaces. You know, the piercings are kind of highly polished steel parts, and the basic brooch is powder coated in, but the colors are not. You're not taking the colors from the military. You know, you're putting a different color on top of that system, or you're displaying that system in a, let's say, not common color for a military system.
It's true. Yeah. For me, it's I took the system as I really like the shape, but like I really don't like the metal color. So like the gold, the silver color, I'm not really up for it. And so yeah, I kind of chose this kind of silvery light, silvery gray color. And for me, it's very in a way, it does remind you of metal color. And because it has a little bit of shine, and it's like you get the association of it, like it's kind of metal based, but at the same time it's like even softer, especially when I'm touching the pieces. I kind of feel like it's like the surface is like, because of the powder coating, it's softer than the just hard steel metal. And when I'm piercing them, I'm like, I'm always like, is it gonna break? Like, is the surface just gonna scratch and disappear? But like, I mean, luckily it never happened. So good job for powder coating. But yeah, but yeah, yeah, and like I said, I picked this color based on the pearl. So I chose the color that's like extremely close to the pearl color. So I got this gray pearl, and then I picked the color based on the pearl. So it's kind of also gave me less decision to make because there are so many colors. And what's the difference of a little bit lighter shade of gray and this shade? I think the only difference, this is the closest to a pearl, and that made sense to me, and that made me create that made my creative part kind of make sense, because I think a lot of time when I'm doing things, it's always like I'm not trying to force myself, give a reason, but still have to make sense in your way, and sometimes it just takes as little as that, and I can achieve to a satisfying place. Yeah, I just want to tell Christoph that your piece is really like so technical wise brilliant, and also like I'm just like in love with the vessels and the trays. They are technical wise perfect, and I'm very intimidated by it. So so it's like also like I'm very interested in like how like I know you were like at first kind of Silversmith trained, and how did it end up? It's kind of like a new question. Like how did you begin to make like more kind of product design and doing such a wide range of practice? Like where?
Good question. No, yeah, at some point I was really thinking about that it's quite a lot of different things, you know. I also did furniture and
yeah,
working with sculpting people and doing things only on the computer in 3D to make big sculptures, and it's, yeah, I don't want to put something aside because it's all interesting to me, and to make all these different things, and also in different sizes, you know. I'm also drawing on a computer for other goldsmiths, very tiny pieces that are 3D printed and casted, and yeah, it's a wide range, but yeah, I don't want to throw something out of it, because it's all interesting to me to do that different things.
It's very nice to hear, because yeah, I mean, of course I know so many let's say jeweler only making jewelry, so it's very refreshing to see you are making so many different things and they are all so good. Yeah,
thank you. And yeah, I have to give that back to you. So it's your pieces, what I know from the pictures I saw, it's yeah, made with high precision, and on the first I thought it's made from anodized aluminum, and now I know it's powder coated. And what you said before, that people are, or that's kind of what you like, that people don't know how something is made. Yeah, that is working. It's,
thank you.
I was wondering a bit.
Yeah, it is like one of the things I'm always telling people, that the finishing is the aesthetic, that it's like it's very much like a rendering. It's the last layer, and in some way that's the layer that it matters. It's kind of the same philosophy what goes to, let's do gold plating, let's do rhodium plating, and for me, what's the difference of gold plating, rhodium plating, and powder coating? It's the same. It's just give you a final layer. Yeah. And yeah, it's very much that.
Yeah, but what you said before with the pearls, that the pearls becoming a structural element, so the pieces, there's no front and back. They are kind of perfect from all the sides. Doesn't matter if it's the front or the back. So
yeah, true. Yeah, because I mean, I think it's kind of like, I think all jewelers love that. Like all jewelers were like, let's check the back of this brooch. Let's so I mean, sometimes like, yeah, it's kind of diverges from what's a great piece of jewelry to an okay piece of jewelry, because some back were horrifying. So it's like then you see how people were dealing with this kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
and you're always looking at the details. You know, you
yeah,
see,
yeah.
and you what about the
Yeah.
needle on the root?
I think that must be also you know when you were practicing in different let's say field, like when you design a furniture or making big scale sculpture, you are still, I think, because you have this training, you're still thinking of very tiny thing, like very detailed thing, because I think those things matters and deliver through. Yeah, I think it's very, for me, like I'm also doing, like, besides jewelry, I'm also doing like graphic works, and I'm also doing like 3D works, and I feel like I have the same sentiment for of approaching them, because for me it's like I think I have this like a silversmith, jewelrysmith mind into everything I do. It's just how I was trained, and it's the spirit that I like. Yeah.
Yeah, the precision in also in the doing. Not only at the end, it's also about how you do things, or how you think about the steps to come to the final piece. It's but there's that's just through the being a craftsman, you have to think about what's the next step to do.
Yeah, it's true.
You think a lot about the steps to come to the final piece.
Yeah, true. I think that's also sometimes it's a little bit scary for me as well, because when you are doing trial, you are doing experiments, you don't know what the end results will be, and of course sometimes you get like a surprising result. So that's the joy part of it. But sometimes it just doesn't work. Yeah.
It's about making the rules for the making, and then breaking the rules maybe through an accident which is better than you thought it could be, just through that accident in the making.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's the title of our show, Breaking Rules.
Yeah. Making and breaking rules.
I have, I think, a very last question. Do you see yourself, both of you, more as designers, craftsmen, or artists?
Oh, that's also a big question. I think for me, especially for making like adornments and like contemporary jewelry, I think the line of artist and designer is very blurry, and sometimes I think it's almost doesn't really matter as for the context. And I definitely see, for example, I'm also making like designer jewelry, like as for a brand, I'm thinking very differently as a designer to make jewelry than I'm making my art project. I'm just doing whatever I like. So it's very different thinking. Yeah. So that's why I'm always just tell people I'm both. I'm a designer, I'm an artist, and sometimes this both means I'm just a jeweler. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very, very similar for me. You know, it's about the what is asked for, and then it's maybe more designer work, or it's more artist work. That's my work, and at some point it's only being a craftsman and doing what I've learned, and using the skills for that thing that is asked from me. But yeah, I think there is a lot about borders that are made in between these different fields that are kind of, for me, it's not important. You know, it's I'm doing it, and if somebody is saying I'm a designer in that part, then okay, then I'm a designer. But it's not it's, I would say it's a lot about the people that they like to have kind of their drawers to put someone in. you know, that guy is a jeweler, that is an artist, that is, and it's yeah, but there's no need for that drawers.
So it means that you can combine. It's correct me if I'm wrong, but if I can both of you speaking about it, it's more like you're thinking as a designer, your work as a craftsman, and you feel as an artist. And then
That's good.
also how you see the details in the plates or in the more sculpture pieces, how you see the background, the finishing. Yeah, so it comes all together.
Yeah, I mean, till nowadays, there are still people shocked when I tell them I'm a jeweler, and then they're like, yeah, you are designing jewelry, and then like 5 minutes later, they realize I'm making them as well. They're like, oh, you're actually making these pieces. You're not just drawing them or designing them.
Yeah.
Like people, of course, like a general audience still think that, and there are jewelry designers that only drawing on a laptop, and that's very valid. So yeah, there are many yeah, but I think especially for a maker, it's very different. It's very hands-on and for many artists, it's very, the making process is a creating process. Like while making the pieces appears, and it's not very I have a sketch and then I make the sketch. It's very much I'm making the sketch and then the pieces appear. So there are very much different way how the practice is being doing.
Yeah, the practice is kind of part of the process.
Yeah,
not about just the making of something. It's also about how it looks like. It's also the making is in that process of designing something.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think we are coming to the end of the conversation. I think a lot of things have been said. I think it's also clear to the audience about making rules and breaking them, where the title comes from, that it is a good title to the exposition and to both of your work. So looking forward to meet, because we're going to meet each other, and hopefully we're going to have dinner together in real.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop recording and thank you both.
Thank you, Karin, for organizing. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And matching us together.
It was a nice conversation.